Hello and welcome back to another episode. Now today I want to talk to you about this little thing, the Tello drone, or the Rise Tello powered by DJI, as it's properly known. It's a wonderful little piece of machinery and it fell into my life last week. I know, a drone. I mean, who would have thought it? I certainly didn't a couple of weeks ago. But a sequence of events has occurred that's ended up in me having this little guy, and I am very happy about it. I wouldn't necessarily want to repeat that sequence of events, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. But now that they've happened, I'm beaming from ear to ear. You see, it's fair to say for the past couple of weeks I've been slightly obsessed. No, very obsessed, in fact, with the prospect of having a small camera drone. At Christmas, my lovely wife got me this. It's a tiny little sort of office toy drone that charges using a USB, has little LED lights on it, and uses a simple battery-powered controller. And I was just flying this thing around the house, slightly teasing the dog with it. But ultimately, unbeknownst to me, I was learning to control a drone. And I didn't realise how important that was until a couple of weeks ago I walked into Hawkins Bazaar in York. Now Hawkins Bazaar is a shop which I think of as being a place where you buy practical jokes, games, office toys, this kind of thing. But as I went in, I noticed they had a sale on drones. Fairly big drones as well. I got talking to the guy behind the counter and he walked me through how from 200 to 150, 100 down to £30 even, drones now actually have lots of the capacities and capabilities that they didn't have even a few years ago, even last year in fact. Things like GPS location, recording footage on board, having automatic return if you lose signal, this kind of thing. Safety features, I suppose, as well, which I've always thought are very important. And this got me really excited. You see, I make videos and films for a living. Partly. That's part of what I do for a living. I often find myself filming archaeological sites in particular, and whenever I see drones on archaeological sites doing the survey work, they're these big things that weigh hundreds of kilograms, you know, and I've always thought that's a distant idea. But increasingly, they're also really useful for not only serious survey work, but actually filming, getting like a cinematic perspective on the subject at hand. And when I saw that these drones were basically just about affordable, I got very excited. And the guy gave me a leaflet. I went home with this leaflet. I showed my lovely wife, and she was like, "Oh, this is it's quite interesting. Have a bit of a think, see what you think." And then maybe, and I just couldn't stop thinking about drones. I started Googling them, researching them, and eventually I landed, no pun intended, on the Tello. But I didn't get a Tello. You see, this thing is a £99 drone. $120 I think initially. I think it might have come down to $99 now in some places. But basically it's just too much money for me to spend on a high-end toy to practice filming with a drone, just in case I one day can afford a Mavic or a Phantom or a Spark even, and use that for professional purposes. It was I just couldn't justify the expense. So I saw that as the ideal. I put it to one side and I carried on researching, and I came across on the Argos website a drone called the Revel VR Spot, or Revel Spot VR I think. And this drone was listed on the website, and I think it still is listed on the website, as having a HD camera, 720p HD, that would record to your phone. And I thought that's enough for me. I can work with that. It got fairly good reviews in terms of its controllability and its durability, because obviously you're going to crash these things. And I picked it up, and to my great satisfaction, the drone was easy to fly. Because of all the practice I've been doing with this little guy, the Revel Spot VR was really quite pleasing actually. It was straightforward, and the translation from a small drone to a slightly larger drone was easy. But I noticed there was a problem with the footage. The footage wasn't HD. And when I went back and looked at the box that the drone came in, it was advertised as being 420. So basically like the high-end standard definition, not 720p HD. Well, this wasn't good enough for me. I wanted to at least be able to experiment with using the footage, perhaps, in some videos. And I wasn't going to be able to use footage, first of all, filmed in a square format, but then also at 480. So at this point, I feel really quite bad. I'd spent £50 or $49.99 on this drone. And that was still quite a treat, quite a speculative chunk of money to spend on a toy / training item, you know. I felt like a bit of a fool, actually. The little voice in the back of my head said, well, you get what you pay for. And that wasn't a very helpful voice at all to have in the back of my head. And then I realised, no, I didn't buy a subpar camera drone. I wasn't expecting an amazing image or an amazing, you know, £500 drone, but I expected what had been advertised. And so I took this thing back to Argos and expected just to get a refund. And I thought, look, I'll just get my money back, take it home with me, and save up and get the Tello, get the thing that's getting fairly good reviews. So I carefully repackaged the drone, took it back to the shop, and the guy behind the counter immediately understood where I was coming from. He said, yeah, that makes sense. I'll just call my manager over, we'll sort this out. And I was like, oh, thank you. And straight away the manager sort of shook his head and said, we can't refund you. And I was like, what? And he said, well, we can't refund you today. He said, you've paid using PayPal, which I did. I ordered online. I actually also paid a delivery fee, which I basically lost in this transaction. And that means apparently that they have to fill out several forms, and it takes 28 days for the refund to occur. Now that to me seems ridiculous, and all of these emotions were starting just to sort of to well up inside me. I was feeling anger, I was feeling frustrated, I felt cheated and lied to by the listing in the catalogue, but also I felt like a fool, because this obsession, this momentary heat in the head to try and practice with a camera drone had led me to buy something that was crap, basically, and now I was going to have to pay for that in terms of my time waiting for the refund. The manager clearly saw my sort of, you know, annoyance and actually did something lovely. He first of all, he said, look, you're going to get your money back. You're the money for the drone. You won't get the money for the delivery, but you know, your £49 you're going to get back. How about if I match that today on this gift card? I said, okay, so you're going to cancel the PayPal refund? He goes, no. You get to use this gift card if you want today, and you'll get your refund. From the depths of despair, suddenly I found myself elated. I couldn't quite believe actually what the guy was saying, and I sort of checked the maths again, and he said, yes, it works, trust me. Do you want to do that? And I was like, yes, of course, yes, I'll take the Tello today. And that's exactly what I did. So I'm technically out of pocket for the same amount of time, for the same amount of money, but the goodwill gesture essentially means that I've got this guy for the same cost. It's a bit complicated, and it was a little bit stressful, but ultimately it was worth it. It's a fantastic little drone. I've been practicing with it outside. It takes quite nice, fairly steady footage if the wind isn't too strong. And in fact, I like it so much that I've actually customized the plastic hood there. It's a white casing that comes with the drone, but I simply had to make it my own. And I've been practicing with this little guy in the house, in the garden, and getting some fairly respectable footage with it. As long as it's not too windy, this drone is remarkably steady, and the camera is a passable film quality. I love it. So it's been a strange few days, to say the least. A strange couple of weeks, I guess. A chance meeting in New York led to a bit of an obsession, a slightly fevered brain, which led to a terrible purchase, or at the very least a misinformed purchase, that led to terrible news, that led to great news, that led to the Tello. A happy ending, I guess, in the end. but one, a story that was quite stressful to live. And in the context of some other things that have been happening the past couple of weeks, I won't go into them today, but it's been a weird, a very challenging couple of weeks that ended up with that thing in my life. Wow. I simply had to share that little story today, and at some point I may well talk a little bit more about this drone and what I like about it, what I don't like about it, but I just had to share how it came to be in my possession. Hopefully this has been interesting, guys. As ever, until next time, do take care. Bye bye.